Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. We have just seen Abdullah Mason defeat Sam Noakes via unanimous decision in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia tonight to become the new WBO lightweight world champion in a fight of the year contender. Owen, hope you enjoyed that. Sure it was worth staying up for. No, it's kind of getting late here in the UK. Initial reaction, what a fight, what a pair of fighters as well.
Yeah, I think that stole the show tonight. There's some great fighters. Bam Rodriguez up next, looking at a potential generational talent. As he goes step by step in his career, but that's 100% stole the show. A great fight. I think it was a test for Abdullah Mason. I don't think he's been past 19 fights, 17 knockouts. He's breezing for everyone, and especially on these shores, we all know what Sam Noakes can do. We know what he's about. We know the power he carries. A little bit of adversity faced at times from Abdullah Mason, but yeah, head to head, sort of phone box fighting at times. Back foot, front foot, it had a bit of everything. The old cliche of styles make fights. That both those styles just match perfectly. Mason looking for the uppercut, Noakes looking for the overhand right. If any fights are better than that tonight and for the remainder of the year, I'd be very, very surprised.
Yeah, no, it was a fan friendly fight. It was a fight where the odds, if you looked at the odds, it looked like Mason was going to win by stoppage, and it looked like he was going to do that. But just the way Sam Noakes just kind of buckled down and refused to go down, refused to be stopped, made it to the end, and won some rounds. I'm glad that two judges gave him five scorecards. I was worried that one or two judges were going to kind of give it as a shutout, because I feel like there were a lot of close rounds there, and I was just worried with Mason being the more aggressive fighter, the favourite into the fight, those judges would have gone towards
Mhm.
his way, but they didn't. What's your opinion on the scorecards, though? In 117, and 115, 113 twice.
115, 113, spot on.
Yeah.
117, 111. It's so harsh on Sam Noakes. I think he's made that a real fight. Um, and if you look for me when I look at a 117, 111, obviously there can still be close rounds, but if you'd seen three 117, 111s, you half expect Mason's cruised. Noakes has picked up the odd half. He's had an half decent round here and there. Probably a couple of charitable rounds given. So the 117, 111, it doesn't reflect the fight at all. Two rounds in it, it's probably perfect. I think there's rounds where there was some strange moments at times. I think it was almost respect given to each other where obviously Noakes in round 10, God knows how he survived that onslaught. Some big shots taken, but I think there was times in there where Noakes has landed fairly clean. Mason, he landed some lovely uppercuts, but from both fighters, it was single big shots. I think that's probably a compliment to each other's, style and ability and power in there. So there's nothing to take away from that. But yeah, the 117, 111, it doesn't reflect that fight at all because two warriors in there both took some massive shots, both landed some big shots. Nothing. The referee didn't have to step in much. It was a very fan friendly fight, and I think 9 times out of 10, a fan friendly fight should be sort of 1 or 2 round swings.
That's fair, yeah. Like I saw, unfortunately, Mike Coppinger had quite a wild scorecard, and I think Sergio Mora actually kind of called him out on it, which was quite nice to see. Um, but yeah, it was nice. It was just nice to see Sam Noakes not get disrespected with scorecards, to be honest. Thoughts on a rematch, Owen? Do you want to see a rematch next? Obviously, it was a fantastic fight. It was a fight of the year contender, but I think the question is, would you prefer to see a rematch immediately, or would you prefer to see maybe both fighters go down separate routes, and then maybe in a year, 18 months time, if the fighters keep winning and if things align, that they meet again? What would your preference be?
I think you asked me after round 7, it would have been an immediate rematch, but at the end of that, I think it's fair to say a rematch probably wouldn't be the wisest idea for Sam Noakes' career. He should probably take. I don't expect to see him in the ring for at least maybe 5, 6 months as a minimum. He's taken some huge shots there. Bit down on his gum shield and survived, and God knows how. It's a credit and a testament to his chin. But I think there's some big fights at lightweight that Mason should chase. Like I say, midway through, I was thinking 15 rounds, please, old school, straight away rematch. But you have to think, that's the first time Abdullah Mason's really faced any adversity. He's gone championship distance. Looked like he could still go another few rounds, and towards the end, Sam Noakes looked like he was, um, almost muscle memory. Not necessarily firing on empty, but he was picking his shots and not throwing as much as he was in the first round in the last. Whereas Mason looked like he could still go. So maybe down the line a rematch, but I think for both careers it'd be wise to go separate routes and separate journeys.
Yeah, I think you make a good point. I think there's a chance if there was a rematch immediately, Noakes could get stopped, and then all of a
Hmm.
sudden his career is just in quite a different position than it is now. I would love to see Noakes come back and headline in the UK because I just feel it's one of those where his stock's gone up. But Turkey might want him back on a Riyadh show next. We'll see. Hopefully an exciting 2026 for Sam Noakes. Final question from me to you, Owen. You kind of can't help but think about what's next in boxing. It's one of those things that's really annoying when people have just had a fight and you're already talking about what's next. A fight I've got my eye on, December, taking place in California. Gabriel Flores Jr., Joe Cordina, a good undercard fight in December. Both in the top 10 in the WBO as well at lightweight.
Hmm.
Um, if Joe Cordina wins that fight, is Joe Cordina against Abdullah Mason a fight that appeals to you to happen in say summer 2026?
Um, it definitely appeals to me. I don't know if that's the wisest idea from Cordina. Um, serious inactivity, sort of no fault of his own at the stage, where he had the hand operation, um, stripped of his title, which was, we covered on the channel, which was absolutely ridiculous. But we could be here all night talking about the IBF and their stripping of champions. Um, I think dependent. I think the fight could definitely happen, but I think, do I want to see that fight? Yes, but from Joe Cordina's perspective, how that fight with Flores Jr. goes, because I did have a look at his activity, and I think, he's basically on, since 2021, he's basically having a fight a year. He's had one year where he's had two. So a performance like that from a young man who's only going to get better and better and better. Um, if it were to be next, and Mason has a sort of a mandatory defence and then gets in with Cordina, he's going to be another fight wiser. There's always a chance of another stoppage on his record. So depending on how Cordina looks, is whether I think that would be a good idea or not. But I had a look at the rankings. I think Cordina's ranked sixth, and his fights for the WBO International. So that fight 100% makes sense on paper.
Yeah.
But styles make fights, as this showed tonight, and I don't think Abdullah Mason is a good style for Joe Cordina.
No, and Joe Cordina, we'll have to see where he's at in his career. That's to be Gabe Flores Jr. as well. Yeah, all right, we'll leave it there. And I think one thing I'll end with Abdullah Mason, the youngest world champion in the sport now, 21 years old, which is scary to me. I just think
Mhm.
how good can he? We're not going to go over the top and get too excited about how good can he be? And it's such an exciting division. You imagine he will move up to super lightweight in the next couple of years. Hopefully, there's some big fights from there, but a great fight, and it's one of those fights where both fighters have come out with their stock raised. Owen, thank you very much for your time as always. I will speak to you again very soon.
Cheers, mate.